Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're just going to wait a couple seconds for everyone in the waiting room to roll in. Cool. And while we're waiting for everyone else to join, we'll just use the time to introduce ourselves. So I'm Vera from CloudTalk. I work in the product marketing team, and I'm going to be hosting this webinar, moderating this webinar actually. And our host today is Sandra. Sandra works in the product team. And Sandra is honestly the person that I've gone to a myriad of times ever since I joined here at CloudTalk for all things AI. So if there's one person at CloudTalk that really knows prompts and AI, that's Sandra, and I'm not overestimating it. So you're in really good hands today. Okay, without further ado, this is a short session, so I'm just gonna skip right over. We're gonna go through prompts in this session, and the reason why is because things can break during the prompt writing process, and prompts are really easy to fix if you know how to approach them. So Sandra today is actually going to walk us through how a bad prompt looks like, how a good prompt looks like, and we're also going to actually test voice agents to see how a bad voice agent would sound versus how a good one would sound. We were just discussing this right before the session. Even the bad one is not so bad. So Sandra will tell you what to listen for during that conversation because this technology is honestly getting better and better every day. But before we begin, let's just see what sort of attendees we have today. So I have a quiz here. Just scan the QR code or go to slido.com and just tell us with what sort of confidence you're joining us today. Are you confident when it comes to your prompt writing skills, or do you think there's something more to learn? We're just going to wait for people to join because I can see that there's no one that joined yet. So just open your phone, scan the QR code, and you should be in. Great. I can see 3 people already joined, 5. We're going to give you like 30 seconds to a minute to answer this. I'm just going to go to the next slide and see a lot of people figuring it out as you go. And I definitely know what you mean. I'm figuring it out with ChatGPT, asking Sandra and ChatGPT what they think about my ideas when it comes to AI and prompt writing. Awesome. Thank you so much for voting. And now let's begin because this is a fairly short session. So Sandra, want to take it over?
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen. So today we will show you a bad prompt that can wreck a conversation with voice agent, and we will show you good prompt and how it makes a way smoother conversation. But first, let's start with what every good prompt, needs. So the first one is identity. Identity creates something like personality of voice agent. Then you need styled guardrails. This sets a framework for replies, how agents should communicate. The third one is response guidelines. This helps agent to handle edge cases. The fourth is task flow and branching logic. This tells a voice agent what to say and when to say it. And the last one is hang up instructions, which tells the voice agent when and how end the conversation. So we are going to show you today use case, which is lead qualification. Voice agent needs to collect information, and based on those information, can decide whether lead is qualified or not. So we will start with bad example, and this prompt is missing instruction to not ask too many questions per one reply. And also it misses branching logic, but you will see during the prompt, during the call. So I'm going to start the call.
It's calling you on your mobile, yes?
Yeah, it should be.
Just make sure you set it up so we can hear it. And by the way, what Sandra is showing you while we're waiting for the voice agent to call, and it seems
It's
to be
already calling.
Let's.
Hello, Sandra speaking.
Hi, Sandra. I'm Anna from CloudTalk. I believe you were interested in having a demo call. Is that correct? I'm just calling to learn a bit more about your needs and see if we might be a good fit. Could you tell me what you're looking for in a solution like ours?
Yeah, sure. I have a sales team and we are looking to increase our outbound call volume.
Thank you for sharing that, Sandra. Increasing outbound call volume is definitely something we help many teams with. Could you tell me a bit more about your current process or any challenges your sales...
Sorry, can you repeat?
Of course, no problem. Could you tell me a bit more about how your sales team currently makes outbound calls, or if there are any specific challenges they're facing? This will help me understand how we can best support you.
My sales team is just using their phone numbers and like phones and then making calls. So we are looking to actually improve the process. We are very in basic stage.
Thank you for explaining, Sandra. It sounds like your team is ready to move from a basic phone setup to something more efficient. CloudTalk can help streamline your outbound calling, track performance, and make it easier for your team to connect with prospects. Based on what you've shared, I think we can help. Let me connect you with our next steps team. They'll get everything set up for you. Is there anything specific you'd like them to focus on during your demo?
No. As you could hear, it was not that good. Agent was asking too many questions at once, went off script, and didn't ask these two questions, and right away qualified me as a person who is qualified, but there are no specific instructions to determine if I was actually qualified. So it was not that good. Like it sounded pretty well, but when we look at the prompt and the result, it was not ideal. So now we can continue with actually good prompt and how it looks like. I'm going to launch it. Hello, Sandra speaking.
Hi, Sandra. I'm Anna from CloudTalk. I believe you were interested in having a demo call. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Great. Thanks for confirming. I'm going to ask you a few quick questions to learn about your needs and challenges, just to see if CloudTalk is a good fit to help. Hope that sounds good. To start, what motivated you to look into CloudTalk?
I have a sales team and we would like to increase the volume of our outbound calls.
Got it. Thanks for sharing that. Increasing outbound call volume is a common goal for sales teams. Are there any specific challenges your team faces right now with your current calling setup?
We are very in basic stage. We are using just our phones and we would like to improve it. So to see stuff like analytics, for example.
Appreciate you sharing that, Sandra. It sounds like you're looking for better tracking and analytics to support your team's growth. Just to confirm, are you actively choosing a solution right now, or are you still exploring your options?
I'm actually actively choosing solution. I would really like to buy something. So, yeah.
Perfect, Sandra. I'll have your dedicated agent, Sam, call you within the next 24 hours to discuss your needs in detail and help you move forward. Appreciate your time. Look out for a call from another agent at CloudTalk. Is there anything else you'd like to ask before we wrap up?
No, thank you very much. Bye. Let's break down what actually went well in this prompt and in this call. Voice agent asked me the question, waited for my answer, and used the correct branching logic. So if yes, proceed. Then it asked me actually correctly, in correct order, questions that were in prompt. Ask even the one extra follow-up, which is not defined in prompt. And then ask me correctly, like question to determine intent and next branching logic. And it was also correctly evaluated that I am high intent lead. This prompt basically shows difference between chaotic and concise communication. And it also closed the conversation really well. So I think, Vera, you can continue.
Yes, great. Thank you so much, Sandra. So we're going to share the entire prompt so that you can take a look at it at your own time as well. But let's just very quickly, let me share again my screen. I think you can all see it now. So let's just repeat the core prompt components, and I'll give you an example because we were just building a voice agent now. So number one is identity. It really makes the agent better if the agent knows who they are. So you need to give it that. You probably, if you're using ChatGPT or something like that, you also create your ChatGPT chats and agents by telling it, I don't know, you're a product marketing expert, or you're a sales, you're an SDR at a company, or you're VP sales, just so it can have that context in mind. Then the style guardrails, this is really important so that it doesn't sound that robotic. So you can even, I've been testing adding things like, and so on. It depends on the voice and so on. So there's a lot of like, you can test it and you can see what really works for you. Other things that I want you to take into account is that the delay that you're hearing, it's going to depend on how big of a processing power that voice agent needs. So for example, if you have a really simple flow, really simple questions and so on, we have multiple models that you can choose from so that you can balance between speed and depth of answers. Then you need to add the response guidelines. And this is basically telling the agent, what does it need to do in order to stay in character so that it doesn't make up and hallucinate that it's something else, and so that it also handles different edge cases smoothly. So there were situations like, for example, for the previous voice agent webinar, we had a voice agent call people, and we defined some edge cases like, if the person is asking about, which goes into also branching logic and task flow, but if the person is saying, I have a problem with CloudTalk, make sure to tell them this is our support line, or we're going to bring this up with the support team, but I'm here today to confirm your attendance or something like that. So just have all of that in mind. And finally, the hang up instructions. There is a section at CloudTalk where you can toggle on the hang up so that you can tell the voice agent how to end the call. And this is, if you take these prompt components and even feed those to ChatGPT, you're going to get a pretty good prompt and a pretty good agent. One thing that we would also suggest is you don't have one agent for everything, because it's quite simple to build. So it's best if you have different agents for different situations, even if it's in the same team. Okay, another thing that we prepared for you, and we are slowly reaching our time limit, and then we'll leave some time for questions, is a custom ChatGPT prompt builder. So we know how difficult it is nowadays to think about your own prompt and write it all together. So we know that you probably use ChatGPT. And actually, we built three helper for three different types of prompts. One is a lead qualification agent, and this can be whether you're receiving inbound leads, or whether you want to call something, or whether you have, I don't know, a webinar like us and you want to call the leads after that. So you can use it for any sort of a thing like that. Then we've got volume reminders. When we mean volume reminders, we mean anything that you need to do at mass. So for example, you might have webinar reminders like ours. So you might want to call people to join your webinar, join your event, join your meeting with the salespeople, or maybe you have, I don't know, like payment reminders that you want to go out just to agents to say, hey, by the way, your invoice is due, things like that. And we've got feedback collection as well. And feedback collection, you can really use it for a lot of things. I've had calls with clients, for example, that used to want to run surveys, for example, post-call surveys, to see how they handled the conversations. There's really no need for you to spend the time of your human agents on this, when you can have a voice agent actually call people after the call and ask, hey, how satisfied were you with your service, and so on. And think of it as anything you in the past that you've tried to automate via email, because it was so easy to automate and create some sort of journey. It's now possible with voice too. And in fact, we're receiving so much more responses from voice versus email. Anna and I were using email, of course, as part of marketing, and we're now experimenting with voice, and the difference is quite staggering. And we're going to be talking on the next session about the event follow-up and how, like, the difference between email and voice as well. So make sure to use this ChatGPT prompt builder. It's going to be included in your email. If you don't get the email, just reach out to productmarketing@cloudtalk.io. It might mean that you're unsubscribed, so it couldn't reach you, but we're going to send this to you so that you can use it. There's one thing that the product team asked me to say, which is take this with a grain of salt. Of course, like anything AI, ChatGPT can also hallucinate. So it always has to go through a human, like your own like reasoning. So use this see if it helps you, and then work with it to get to the prompt that you want. And of course, if there are some edge cases, specific complex scenarios, our team is here to help, and we can help you build the voice agents for your specific use case. Okay, so with all of that covered, we are keeping this short and sweet on purpose. If there's anything specific, we are going to cover it in next sessions. I'm seeing here a couple of questions. Does it work for other languages? Yes, it does. So voice agents right now cover 60 different languages and accents. And also, like, we can send you the list. Anna, let's make a note to send them the list of all the languages that are also covered. And most likely your language is covered. And then if you have a specific language in mind, you can always reach out to our team and see what we can do to make it happen. Also, there are multiple voices as well. We just expanded the number of voices that we have. So you can really choose between different accents and different voices, male, female, neutral, and so on. Does it work in Slovak, in German? Yes, it does. And how much is it? Okay, so in terms of pricing, you can speak to our sales team about it, but in general, it's pay as you go. There is some initially you can purchase small bulk of minutes so that you can test it and so on. It's otherwise pay as you go. It's $0.25 or euros a minute. Yeah, you can talk to our sales team to see how that works. And obviously you can scale up and down the activity as much as you want. So you really have cost control. Other things that people are asking when it comes to controlling costs is whether you can control the amount of time the voice agent speaks. And I just want to say, yes, you have an option to say this voice agent speaks at only 3 minutes at a time based on the average amount of minutes that are needed for that sort of conversation. So you really have a bunch of different options to control the costs and also to run it side by side with your human agents and see how it works. On what platform are the voice agents built on? They're using DeepGram and 11 Labs as two of the, Sandra, am I right? DeepGram and 11 Labs for the time being.
Yeah, different and Levan Labs,
Yeah.
and I think JGPT as well.
Yes. So basically they're using that technology. You can choose different voices in the backend and so on. And you can basically choose what sort of model to use based on the speed you needed or the processing power. And we are also making the setup much easier. The product team is right now working to make the setup even easier for you guys. But in the very beginning, you're going to have our full support when it comes to building the voice agents. Does it work for Italy and Portugal? Yes, it does. How does the analysis of responses work? In terms of responses, what you're going to see for voice agent is the voice agent calls are logged the same way as any other CloudTalk activity. So they basically show up in your call detail, in your call log, and so on. So you're going to see the voice agent actually making and taking calls. What we are doing right now is adding it to analytics so that you can split between human agents versus AI agents in terms of how many calls they've made, how many minutes they've spoken, and so on. And the team is also, and it's coming really soon, is also working to include this in the conversation intelligence so that you can very soon compare human agents versus AI agents performance side by side using the AI module. The experience with prospects hearing an AI speaking, do they usually respond well or ask for a real human straight away? Actually, it's really positive. So far, we've seen really positive results. What we are experiencing is if the voice agent is helpful enough, the person will not care if it's a human or an AI. And I've had situations, I'm always telling this example to the team internally. I've had situations where I'm calling my bank and the person on the other end of the line tells me that I can find the information on the website. That's not a helpful response to me. If there is a voice agent, what you can do is you can also feed it your knowledge base. So not only it has the information that's on the internet, but you can also tell it even internal information that you want it to handle, and it can search through them and answer the question for the customer calling you, or for you, like calling the customer if they have some questions. So for us, so far, it's really good. There was also another situation where, and the third one, I think the third webinar is going to be about this. We have multiple numbers on the website, but if someone calls those numbers after hours, sometimes there's no one to pick up. So obviously, if we have someone to capture that conversation, answer the questions that the customer has straight away, it's a much better customer experience versus us not picking up the phone at all. So just in terms of the experience so far, it's really good. And as I mentioned, I'll give you a sneak peek. We had the email response rate, for example, for the previous webinar was 0%. And with the voice agent, it was actually 10%. So it was a staggering difference between email, because email is full right now. Yes, the transcriptions, absolutely. So we are going to start transcribing calls very soon. The AI voice agent roadmap is moving really soon. We're releasing new things every month. And of course, if you're interested in something specific, just come to us and we will let you know if that's on the roadmap or if we can make it happen. Do they know it is AI and do you identify yourself as such? Yes, basically you can add that in the prompt. As Sandra told you, in the identity part, you can tell it, because there are some markets that are a little bit more, that have stricter rules where you need to tell them that it's an AI calling. So in those cases, you can tell the voice agent, make sure that you introduce yourself as AI and you can tell it the exact thing that they should say, or you can choose not to. So it really depends on you. The voice agent won't introduce itself as AI if you don't give it in the prompt. Sandra, am I correct?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, cool. So I think that's about it. Those have been all the questions. So this was a sort of like a foundational session. We just wanted to show you and just show you a little bit on the webinar itself, how different prompts would look, and send you the resources. And from next session on, we're going to be talking actually about specific voice agents that we've built. So the next session, I will be hosting it together with my colleague Peter from product. And we're going to be talking about using voice agents for events. I will actually share the examples of how we built the first voice agent for the previous webinar, how we are building it for this one, how we are going step by step, first starting off with a list, now going with an automation. So we're going to cover all of that and we're going to give you the exact prompt. The one after is going to be with Anna and our CMO, David. So they're going to be talking about how we actually made the phone numbers on our website clickable and basically callable even after hours. And voice agents are responding to those, deciding if they're a support line or a sales line so that we can qualify even more leads or create tickets for the support team. And then the final session is going to be with our head of business development, Josh, and we're going to be talking about specifically lead qualification. So one of the examples that Sandra showed you in the prompts. We're going to show you how we started handling the long tail. The example I've given you with handling those people that showed some sort of interest, but we didn't have time to call, as well as some regions that we really don't have time to touch. But it's still, we don't want to create this experience where people are not being called back. So we're trying to plug those gaps with voice agents any way we can. So those are the following sessions, and I hope you join them and I hope you enjoy them. If you have not registered to them, make sure you do. You're going to receive a recording even if you're not able to join live, so that you can have all those prompts in your library. And of course, if you would like to start building a voice agent, test it, make sure to reach out to us or our sales team, and we're gonna get that going for you. As I mentioned, it's paid by minute at the moment, so you can scale up and down as much as you want, and you can test it side by side with your human agents, see which one is performing better. Just a second, there's one more question actually. If the caller begins speaking while the AI agent is talking, how can we control it? Sandra, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've been adding this to my prompts and it's working fairly well. You just tell it that allow the speaker to barge in and stop talking. Is that right?
Yeah, and also it's not only in prompt, but there's also technology behind the actual voice agents. So there is something like interruption handling. So when you start speaking and you interrupt the voice agent, it will stop speaking and let you finish your sentence.
Awesome. And by the way, the technology is so quickly getting so improved that like a couple months ago, that wasn't possible if I'm not mistaken. And now it is since couple months ago. Really, everything is moving so quickly and the voices are getting better. The quality of responses is getting better. And we really think this is going to change how you handle sales and support. And if you're thinking about just like a tip from our side, if you're thinking about what part of the process to plug with a voice agent, think of all those things you don't have time to do or that you're struggling to do consistently, or you surely have some leads or some people calling you that you cannot get to quickly enough. So you can have a voice agent do that. And also one more thing that we are going to roll out very soon is a conversational IVR that's specifically like a virtual receptionist. That's an agent that can basically route your calls instead of you using a the typical traditional menu. So watch your inbox. We're going to share with you once that's live as well, but it's really soon. The team is working on it, and they're making great progress there. Okay, so I think we're at time. Thank you so much for joining. I hope this was at least a little bit helpful. And the next sessions are going to be even more practical, where you're going to see exactly the process and setup and things like that. So I really hope you join us live next time. See you all.